The morning sky above New York turned from blue to purple as massive ships entered Earth's atmosphere. They weren't the sleek, beautiful ships humans had imagined in their movies. These were dark, crystal-shaped vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Captain James Miller stood at the United Nations Emergency Command Center, watching the main screen with other military leaders. His 20 years of military service hadn't prepared him for this moment. The aliens had arrived without warning, and their first message was simple: surrender or die. "Sir, they're broadcasting again," said Robert, the young communications officer. His hand shook as he adjusted his headset. The main screen flickered to life, showing a tall figure covered in gleaming armor. The aliens' crystalline suits sparkled under their ship's lights. Their helmet had no visible visor, just smooth, geometric patterns that pulsed with internal light. "Humans," the alien's voice boomed through the speakers. "We are the Dominion fleet. Your weapons are useless against us. Your technology is primitive. Submit to our rule, and we will be merciful." Miller stepped forward. "This is Captain James Miller of the Earth Defense Force. We wish to negotiate peaceful." The alien commander cut him off with a sound that might have been laughter. "Negotiate? We do not negotiate with lesser species. You have 1 hour to surrender, or we will demonstrate our power." The screen went dark. Miller turned to General Thompson, who nodded grimly. "Launch the defense satellites. Show them we're not as primitive as they think." Within minutes, Earth's orbital defense grid activated. Advanced laser cannons, the pride of human military technology, fired at the alien ships. The beams of concentrated energy struck their hulls and dissipated harmlessly against their crystalline armor. "Impossible," whispered Dr. Thomas, their chief weapons scientist. "Those lasers can cut through 2 feet of solid steel." The aliens' response was immediate and devastating. Their ships released thousands of smaller craft, each piloted by a warrior in the same crystal armor. They descended upon major cities, their energy weapons turning buildings to ash. Miller watched in horror as Earth's most advanced weapons proved useless. Plasma rifles, electromagnetic pulse generators, even experimental quantum disruptors. Nothing could penetrate their armor. The aliens walked through the heaviest fire as if it were a light rain. "Their armor," Miller muttered, studying the footage. "It's like nothing we've ever seen. How can it just absorb all that energy?" In Times Square, a group of police officers had engaged one of the alien warriors. Their standard-issue weapons had been replaced with energy-based riot control devices. The alien warrior didn't even flinch as the energy pulses hit their armor. But then something unexpected happened. One officer, probably out of ammunition for his energy weapon, threw his metal baton in frustration. It struck the alien's helmet with a loud crack. For just a moment, a tiny web of cracks appeared in the crystalline surface. Miller leaned forward, his eyes wide. "Replay that footage," he ordered. The technicians replayed the scene 3 times. Each time, Miller's excitement grew. The alien's seemingly invincible armor had cracked, not from their most advanced energy weapons, but from a simple metal baton. "Get me everything we have on their armor structure," he ordered. "And find Dr. Anna Walker. She's the best weapons designer we have. I think we've been approaching this all wrong." But before they could act on this discovery, the alien ships began their first wave of serious attacks. Energy beams rained from the sky, destroying Earth's major military installations. The few remaining human forces retreated underground, taking with them the precious footage of the cracked alien armor. As Miller descended into the emergency bunker, he couldn't help but smile slightly. The aliens thought they had humanity figured out. They expected energy weapons and advanced technology. But maybe, just maybe, humanity's salvation would come from something much more basic, something as simple as throwing a rock. The Earth's first day of alien contact was ending in defeat, but Captain Miller had seen something no one else had noticed. Sometimes, the oldest weapons could be the most effective. He just hoped they would have enough time to prove it. 3 days after the initial invasion, Captain Miller sat in a dimly lit underground lab, watching Dr. Anna Walker examine footage of the alien armor. The weapons designer hadn't slept much. None of them had, but her eyes remained sharp as she studied each frame. "Look at this," she said, pointing to the screen. "When the baton hits, the crystal structure doesn't just crack. It shatters in a specific pattern." She zoomed in on the impact point. Their armor is designed to absorb and redirect energy, but it can't handle good old-fashioned kinetic force. Miller nodded, remembering something from his past. "Reminds me of my grandfather's hunting trips. He always said there's nothing more reliable than a bolt-action rifle." He paused, an idea forming. "Dr. Walker, what would happen if we hit their armor with a high-powered rifle round?" "Traditional bullets." She sat up straighter, fingers flying across her keyboard. "The velocity, the focused impact point." Her eyes widened. "That might actually work better than the baton. Much better." They brought their findings to General Thompson in the Emergency Command Center. The old military leader listened carefully, his weathered face showing both doubt and hope. "You're telling me," Thompson said slowly, "that while we've been trying to fight them with our most advanced weapons, we should have been using regular guns." "Not just any guns," Dr. Walker explained, spreading out her diagrams. "High-powered rifles, specifically. Their armor works like a solar panel for energy weapons. It absorbs and redistributes the force. But a physical bullet, that's like throwing a rock through a window. No redistribution, just impact." Miller added, "We have thousands of traditional weapons in storage. While everyone was busy upgrading to energy weapons, we kept the old armories maintained, just in case." General Thompson stood up and walked to the map showing alien positions across the globe. Their crystalline ships still hung in the sky, a constant reminder of humanity's desperate situation. "How quickly can we test this?" "I captured some damaged alien armor during their last attack," Dr. Walker said. "Give me 2 hours in the shooting range." The underground shooting range had survived the initial attacks. Miller watched as Dr. Walker set up the armor fragment at one end. She chose an old hunting rifle from the armory, a simple bolt-action weapon that hadn't seen use in years. The first shot rang out, loud in the enclosed space. The bullet struck the alien armor, and a beautiful spider web of cracks appeared around the impact point. "Again," Dr. Walker commanded, her voice excited. They tried different calibers, different distances. Each bullet created the same effect, cracks spreading through the crystalline structure. "It's like hitting a car windshield," Miller observed. "One good hit creates a weak point, and then the whole thing can shatter." Dr. Walker finished. She turned to General Thompson, who had joined them partway through the tests. "We need to get every old rifle, every piece of artillery we can find. Tanks, too. Their main guns would be perfect for this." The general was already on his radio. "This is Thompson. I want all energy weapons research stopped immediately. Redirect everything to traditional ballistics production, and someone find me every hunting rifle in a 100-mile radius." Miller picked up one of the rifles, feeling its familiar weight. It was strange to think that humanity's most advanced weapons had failed, but these simple machines might save them. His grandfather would have laughed at the irony. "There's something else," Dr. Walker said, reviewing her data. "The aliens won't be expecting this. Their combat tactics, their defenses, everything is designed to counter energy weapons. They probably haven't faced physical projectiles in centuries." "The element of surprise," Miller smiled, "combined with weapons they've forgotten how to fight against." As they left the shooting range, Miller felt hope for the first time since the invasion began. Sometimes the old ways were the best ways. The aliens thought they had humanity outgunned, but they were about to learn an important lesson. Never underestimate primitive technology in creative hands. 1 week after their breakthrough, the underground facility buzzed with activity. The once quiet halls now rang with the sounds of machinery as old ammunition factories sprang back to life. Dr. Walker stood in her newly expanded lab, surrounded by different types of bullets and shell casings. "Load the next test round," she called out to her team. They were testing their latest creation, bullets specifically designed to exploit the weaknesses in alien armor. The firing range had been modified to handle larger weapons, and a captured piece of alien armor waited at the far end. The test rifle boomed. Through high-speed cameras, they watched the bullets strike the armor. Instead of creating a simple crack pattern, this round caused the entire piece to shatter like broken glass. "Perfect," Dr. Walker whispered, studying the footage. She had added spiral grooves to the bullets, making them spin faster and hit harder. The aliens' crystal armor never stood a chance against these specially designed rounds. Above ground, the aliens continued their patrols, unaware of the humans working beneath their feet. Their crystalline ships cast strange shadows over the abandoned cities as they searched for the remaining human resistance. Captain Miller entered the lab, carrying news from their scout teams. "The aliens are getting frustrated. They can't find our main bases, but they know we're out there somewhere." He picked up one of the new bullets, examining its unusual design. "How are the tests going?" "Better than we hoped," Dr. Walker replied. She pulled up a diagram on her screen. "Look at this. The alien's armor is made of layers, like sheets of glass stacked together. Our new rounds don't just crack the surface. They send shockwaves through the entire structure." A young technician rushed into the lab. "Captain, Doctor, you need to see this." He led them to the main control room, where several screens showed live footage from their hidden cameras. An alien patrol had encountered a small group of civilians trying to find food. The aliens raised their energy weapons, but before they could fire, shots rang out from a nearby building. Old hunting rifles, preserved by careful owners, and now put to new use, fired in perfect unison. The aliens' armor, which had shrugged off humanity's most advanced energy weapons, cracked and shattered under the impact of simple lead bullets. The patrol fell, their crystalline suits breaking apart like ice in spring. "It works," Miller said, his voice filled with quiet satisfaction. "It really works." Dr. Walker was already taking notes. The regular rifles worked, but imagine what our new rounds will do, and wait until they meet our restored tanks. In another part of the facility, mechanics worked on old military vehicles. Tanks that had been museum pieces were now being prepared for battle. Their main guns, designed to fire simple shells, would prove more effective than any energy cannon. "The aliens made a mistake," Miller said, watching the preparations. "They thought that because their technology was more advanced, they were better warriors. They forgot that humanity spent centuries perfecting the art of projectile weapons." Dr. Walker nodded, but her expression was serious. "They won't stay ignorant forever. Once they realize what's happening, they'll try to adapt." "By then it'll be too late," Miller replied. "We're not just using old weapons. We're improving them. Every bullet we make is better than the last." They watched as another test firing shattered a piece of alien armor. The crystalline material, so resistant to energy weapons, fell apart under the impact of properly designed bullets. In the command center, General Thompson was organizing their first major offensive. Maps showed alien patrol routes, their crystalline ships hovering over major cities. Soon, those ships would learn that Earth wasn't as defenseless as they thought. As the day ended, Dr. Walker put the finishing touches on her latest design, a round that could punch through alien armor like it was made of paper. Above them, the aliens continued their patrols, confident in their superior technology. They didn't realize that humanity's primitive weapons were about to change everything. The testing grounds had proven their theory. Now it was time for the real battle to begin. The first real battle started at dawn. Captain Miller watched through binoculars as an alien patrol marched down the empty streets of Chicago. Their crystalline armor sparkled in the morning sun, but today that armor would prove useless. "All units in position," crackled a voice through his radio. Around the city, hidden resistance fighters waited with their newly modified weapons. Old hunting rifles had been fitted with Dr. Walker's special ammunition. Retired soldiers carried restored military rifles. Even ancient machine guns have been brought back to life. Remember, Miller spoke quietly into his radio. Aim for the joints in their armor. One good hit will start the cracks. He patted the wooden stock of his own rifle, his grandfather's prized hunting weapon, now serving in humanity's greatest fight. The aliens moved with complete confidence. Why shouldn't they? Their advanced armor had defeated every energy weapon humans had thrown at them. They never looked up at the windows where resistance fighters waited. Miller took a deep breath and squeezed his trigger. The shot echoed through the empty streets. His bullet struck the lead alien's chest plate. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, like ice breaking on a frozen lake, cracks spread across the crystalline surface. Before the aliens could react, more shots rang out. Bullets designed by Dr. Walker found their marks. The aliens' perfect armor, which had seemed so invincible, shattered like broken glass. "Keep firing," Miller ordered. The aliens tried to respond, their energy weapons flashing, but they had never trained for this kind of fight. Their formations, perfect against energy weapons, left them exposed to simple bullets. In the command bunker, Dr. Walker watched through surveillance cameras. "Look at their tactics," she said to General Thompson. They'd bunched together, expecting to combine their energy shields, but that just makes them easier targets for our guns. The alien patrol fought back, but they were fighting the wrong war. Their combat training had prepared them for energy battles in space, not street fighting against projectile weapons. One by one, their armor cracked and failed. "Bring in the heavy weapons," Miller commanded. From a hidden garage, an old tank rolled forward. Its main gun, restored to perfect condition, aimed at the alien's position. The blast shook windows for blocks. The tank shell, traveling faster than any bullet, hit the alien's defensive formation. Their combined energy shields, designed to stop plasma bolts and laser beams, did nothing against simple kinetic force. When the smoke cleared, the alien patrol lay defeated. Their shattered armor scattered across the street like broken mirrors. For the first time since the invasion, humans had won a clear victory. Miller walked among the fallen aliens, studying their broken armor. "Send samples back to Dr. Walker," he ordered. "She'll want to see how the new rounds performed." News of the victory spread through the resistance network. All across Earth, hidden fighters prepared for similar attacks. The aliens had taken their cities, but they hadn't found the underground networks where humanity prepared its counterattack. In his command ship high above Earth, the alien commander received reports of the defeat. "Impossible," he said, studying the images of his troops' shattered armor. "They are using primitive projectile weapons." But more reports came in. Another patrol defeated in London. A squadron destroyed in Moscow. Everywhere, humans were emerging from hiding with weapons the aliens had considered obsolete centuries ago. Back in the bunker, Dr. Walker examined the battle data. "Their armor's weakness is even greater than we thought," she told Miller. "It's not just bullets. Any fast-moving physical object can break it. They sacrificed basic impact resistance for energy protection." Miller smiled. "And now that weakness will cost them everything." He looked at the maps showing alien positions around the world. Every hunting rifle, every old tank, every artillery piece we can find. They're all weapons the aliens don't know how to fight. The resistance had begun. Humanity's oldest weapons were about to teach the aliens a lesson about underestimating primitive technology. Above them, the alien ships still hung in the sky, but they no longer looked invincible. They looked like targets. 2 weeks after their first victory, Dr. Walker stood in her lab, holding her latest creation. The bullet looked simple, but its design was anything but. Tiny grooves ran along its surface in a pattern that matched the crystal structure of alien armor. "This is it," she told Miller, who had just returned from another successful raid. "The perfect bullet." She placed it under a microscope and displayed the image on a large screen. "See these patterns? They create the same vibration frequency as their armor. When it hits, it's like striking a crystal glass at exactly the right note to shatter it." Miller picked up one of the new rounds. How many can we make? The factories are already running. We can arm every resistance fighter within days. She paused, looking at her data screens. But that's not the best part. Watch this. She played footage from their latest tests. The new bullet hit alien armor and created a chain reaction. Cracks spread not just from the impact point, but through the entire crystalline structure. The armor didn't just break, it fell apart completely. Above ground, the aliens were growing desperate. Their patrols now moved in larger groups, but that only made them easier targets for the Resistance's restored artillery. Their energy weapons, once thought unstoppable, proved useless against humans who struck from hiding with weapons that were centuries old. "We've intercepted their communications," General Thompson announced during the morning briefing. They've never seen anything like these attacks. Their entire military doctrine is based on energy weapon warfare. They don't even train for ballistic defense anymore. Miller spread out a map showing recent victories. Their biggest ships still control the skies, but on the ground, they're losing every battle. Their armor is their weakness now, not their strength. A young soldier burst into the room. "Sir, the aliens are attacking the western defense line. But something's different." On the security screens, they watched the alien attack. The invaders had modified their tactics, spreading out instead of staying in tight formations. But their armor was still the same crystalline material. "They're learning," Miller said, "but not fast enough." He grabbed his rifle, loaded with Dr. Walker's new bullets. "Let's show them what these rounds can do." The battle was short but fierce. The aliens had learned to dodge and take cover, but their armor was still vulnerable. The new bullets worked even better than expected. Each hit caused entire sections of alien armor to collapse. One alien commander, his troops falling around him, tried to understand what was happening. His species had spent centuries developing the perfect armor against energy weapons. How could these simple metal projectiles defeat them so easily? The answer came in the form of another bullet, its specially designed grooves sending fatal vibrations through his crystalline suit. As his armor shattered, his last thought was about the mistake they had made. They had prepared for the future while forgetting the lessons of the past. Back in the command center, Dr. Walker analyzed footage from the battle. "Their armor's fundamental design is flawed," she explained to the gathered officers. "They made it so perfect at handling energy that it became completely vulnerable to physical impacts. They can't fix it without starting over from scratch." Miller nodded. "And they don't have time for that." He pointed to the map, where more and more areas showed human victories. "Every day, we find more old weapons. Every day, our bullets get better. And every day, they lose more troops to technology they thought was obsolete." The aliens retreated from another city, their once proud army in chaos. Their perfect armor, designed to overcome humanity's most advanced weapons, was being defeated by bullets and shells that humans had used for centuries. Dr. Walker looked at her latest designs, even more effective rounds that would soon be ready for production. "Sometimes," she said, "the old ways are the best ways." Above them, the alien ships still hung in the sky. But now they looked less like conquerors and more like targets waiting to fall. The turning point had come, and humanity's oldest weapons were leading the way to victory. Captain Miller stood on the deck of the U.S. Missouri, a World War I battleship that had been quickly restored to service. The massive ship's main guns, silent for decades, were about to speak again. Above them, alien ships filled the sky over the Pacific Ocean, unaware of what was coming. "All stations report ready," called the ship's captain through the radio. Around the world, other old battleships had been brought back from retirement. Their huge guns, designed to fire simple shells, were perfect for piercing alien armor. "Remember," Dr. Walker's voice crackled through the radio from her command bunker, "these shells are special. The rifling pattern will multiply the shattering effect. One good hit could break their entire ship apart." Miller watched through binoculars as more ships joined their formation. The aliens had never faced a naval battle. Their ships were designed to fight in space, using energy weapons and force fields. They had no defense against good old-fashioned artillery. "All ships, open fire," ordered General Thompson. The Missouri's main guns roared to life. The sound was like thunder, shaking the entire ship. Shells weighing as much as cars arced through the air toward the alien vessels. The aliens' energy shields flared, trying to stop the incoming rounds. But they failed. The shells, traveling faster than sound, struck the crystalline hulls. Just like their armor, the alien ships were built to resist energy weapons, not physical impacts. The special shells, designed by Dr. Walker, created massive crack patterns across their surfaces. "Direct hits," shouted the spotters. "Their hulls are breaking apart." The alien ships tried to fight back. Energy beams lanced down from the sky, but the old battleships were surprisingly hard to kill. Their thick steel armor, designed to stop shells, worked just as well against energy weapons. More ships joined the attack. The aliens had never seen anything like it. A fleet of obsolete vessels destroying their advanced ships with simple projectile weapons. Their perfect crystalline hulls, which could shrug off direct hits from laser cannons, were being shattered by naval guns. From his command ship, the alien admiral watched in horror as his fleet fell apart. "Impossible," he muttered. "These humans are defeating our greatest ships with primitive weapons." Another salvo answered his question. The shell struck his ship's hull, sending cracks racing through its crystalline structure. His mighty vessel, pride of the Dominion fleet, was being destroyed by weapons that his people had abandoned centuries ago. In the command bunker, Dr. Walker watched through satellite feeds. "Look at their formation," she told General Thompson. "They're still trying to fight an energy weapon battle. They have no doctrine for dealing with ballistic weapons." The general smiled. "They forgot the basics, all their advanced technology, and they can't handle a simple shell moving at high speed." More alien ships began falling from the sky. Their crystalline hulls, once beautiful and intimidating, now broke apart like glass sculptures dropped on concrete. The oceans below were filled with glittering fragments of their shattered vessels. Miller ordered another salvo from the Missouri's guns. "Keep firing. Their whole fleet is breaking apart." The aliens tried to retreat, but they had nowhere to go. Every major ocean had old battleships waiting, their guns ready. The humans had turned Earth's waters into a deadly trap for ships that had conquered countless worlds. In orbit, the remaining alien vessels received the terrible news. Their invincible fleet, which had never known defeat, was being destroyed by warships the humans had built before they even had computers. The Missouri's guns fired one last time. The shells rose into the sky, trailing smoke, and struck the alien admiral's flagship. The massive crystalline vessel cracked like an egg, then broke apart in a spectacular display of falling light. "Signal from the alien fleet," reported a radio operator. They're requesting terms of surrender." Miller looked up at the sky where the alien ships had been. Now there was nothing but falling debris, glittering like stars in the morning sun. The counterattack had worked. Humanity had proven that sometimes the oldest weapons were the most effective. The war wasn't over, but its outcome was no longer in doubt. Earth's primitive weapons had defeated the most advanced armor in the galaxy. 1 month after the great naval battle, Captain Miller stood in front of the United Nations building in New York. The city had been rebuilt quickly after the alien retreat. Above, where crystal ships once hung threateningly, Earth's skies were clear and blue again. Dr. Walker stood beside him, holding a piece of shattered alien armor. They were waiting for something that would have seemed impossible just months ago: the official surrender of the Dominion fleet. "Hard to believe it's really over," Miller said, touching his grandfather's old rifle that now hung in a place of honor on his shoulder. The weapon that had seemed obsolete had helped save humanity. The alien delegation approached, walking instead of floating in their usual display of power. Their new armor was different. No longer purely crystalline, but a mix of materials that could resist both energy and physical attacks. They learned their lesson. Dr. Walker whispered. But too late. The alien commander, now a peace envoy, stepped forward. His voice was humble, very different from their first contact. Humanity has taught the galaxy a powerful lesson, he announced to the gathered crowd. We believed that advancing technology meant abandoning old ways. We were wrong. Behind the speakers, massive screens showed similar ceremonies taking place around the world. In every major city, aliens and humans were meeting not as enemies, but as equals. The Dominion fleet, which had conquered 100 worlds, had been defeated by weapons they thought were ancient history. General Thompson stepped up to the podium. This victory belongs to everyone, he said. To the soldiers who kept our old weapons ready, to the scientists who improved them, to every person who remembered that sometimes the simplest solution is the best solution. Other alien species had come to witness the ceremony. They watched with great interest as examples of Earth's primitive weapons were displayed. The guns, shells, and bullets that had shattered supposedly impenetrable armor were now being studied by races from across the galaxy. Your projectile weapons, one alien scientist said to Dr. Walker, they are so elegant in their simplicity. We forgot about kinetic energy while chasing energy weapons. A costly mistake. Miller watched as the formal peace treaty was signed. The terms were fair. Humanity would share their knowledge of projectile weapons, and in return, they would receive access to space travel technology. Earth would become a respected member of the galactic community. Look at this, Dr. Walker said, showing Miller her datapad. 7 other species have already requested our help in developing balanced defense systems. They all relied too heavily on energy protection. The ceremony continued with an unusual tribute. The alien commander presented Miller's grandfather's rifle to a new galactic museum. This simple weapon, he announced, represents a truth we have forgotten. Progress is not about abandoning the past, but building upon it. In the months that followed, Earth became famous throughout the galaxy. Human weapons designers were in high demand, teaching other races how to balance new and old technology. The term Earth-style defense became common in military discussions across the stars. Dr. Walker's lab became a center for studying both advanced energy weapons and traditional ballistics. The future of warfare, she often said, lies in remembering the past. The aliens who had once looked down on Earth's primitive technology now sent their best students to learn from human teachers. They studied not just the weapons, but the mindset that had preserved and improved them. As Miller walked through the rebuilt streets of New York that evening, he thought about how strange victory had been. Humanity hadn't won because they were more advanced, but because they had remembered their roots. The simple physics of a bullet in flight had defeated the most advanced armor in the galaxy. He looked up at the stars, knowing that human ships would soon travel among them. But these ships would be different from others in space. They would carry both energy weapons and good old-fashioned guns, ready for any threat. Because sometimes the oldest solutions are the best solutions.